All right, welcome to webinar number 2, you guys. This is so awesome. What a nice turnout. Dan and I actually sat down yesterday and discussed some of the things that we wanted to share with you and everything. So here are the resources. I dropped them in chat for you guys right now. So here are the resources for today. And it's the same link that we used last time too. And for those of you guys, I did send the archive out last time as a link, but then it kind of got lost in the shuffle, I think, because a number of you asked for it. So I have embedded the archive. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Hey, Adam. So here are the resources. And when we click on the follow-up webinars, it'll take you over to the webinar page, and from there we're able to see all the resources from all of the webinars and the archive. I dropped the archive, so there's webinar 1 archive, and if we scroll on down after today's over, I'll drop webinar 2 archive in there too. So we're going to scroll on down to webinar number 2. And the very first thing is, I think my favorite, was checking in. And you guys do such a nice job of following up. I was like really excited by all the things that you're doing. So even though you wrote it down, you're going to have to talk about it. So yay. Yay for sharing what we're doing. So let's see. We've got lots of people with us. So let's go ahead and start with Rod.
Hello.
Hi, Rod.
Hi. Sorry, I haven't found anybody yet that wants to kind of try this out with me. It's a little overwhelming in Rapid City with all the initiatives that are being pushed forward. So I really haven't got much teeth on it. The teachers are feeling kind of pretty overwhelmed with the new reading resources and the new STEAM squared stuff, and I see this potentially fitting in with that.
Yes.
But it's right now they're just trying to even figure out what it's going to look like. Mm-hmm. But I think once I get it settles down a little bit, I might be able to get some of them to start rolling with this. So I'm hopeful after Christmas, when things settle down a little bit, or maybe later in the year, I'll be able to get some people up and running with this.
Okay.
Nice, Rod. And Julie and I were talking about, like, if you did have a teacher or a team or a group of students, like, we could stop by after school for an hour or something like that and get the ball rolling for these guys if that was part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like developing the local talent, working with just a few of your staff or even small groups of students.
Okay, that'd be awesome. It really would.
Cool.
Yeah, Julie didn't necessarily want me to volunteer as to do the pro bono work, but we got to get this map contest on the, hit the ground rolling.
Well, and we moved it down to 4th grade, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to get anybody in the map contest that quick because, like I said, I'm having a hard time even trying to get somebody to even look at it.
No,
sure.
Totally.
So, yeah. But if I do, when maybe even possibly next year we could get once. I think that, like I said, I think this can fit in with our STEAM stuff that we're moving forward with. We've got some pilot schools going there. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate the offer for the pro bono.
Dan. Of course. All right.
Anytime, Rod.
So,
all right.
Brittany, I wish she was here. She did a follow-up from the last class and has some really fun ideas that she wants to do. So I'm hoping she makes the 3rd session so she can share some of the activities that she's going to be doing. All right, let's see. Kelsey, you're here. I want to know about what you're planning. All right, Kelsey, we can't hear you, so you might need to unmute something else too. Not sure. Yes, talk again. Oops. Talk again. You need to unmute one more time.
How about now?
Perfect.
All right.
Yay! Okay. I plan on hosting, or not hosting, excuse me. I plan on implementing a gerrymandering geo inquiry. Printed it, ready to go for Thursday. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh my goodness, I wish we weren't not meeting again until January. I want to hear about it.
Yeah,
Send me a note, send me an email and let me know how it goes.
I will. Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the interaction portion of it because I've done one. I had a student do one just to kind of work through the intricacies. And so I think it'll be a success.
Good.
Awesome. And get as much documentation, maybe some photos of them, and save some projects. Maybe you can share with Julie and I so we can check them out.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Awesome.
Exciting. All right, Dan, you joined us and you wrote us a book. So talk about it.
I haven't done a whole lot, but mostly mine's been just showing them a couple story maps, and the kids overall seem really interested in it. So I'm hopeful that maybe I could get a few of my higher learners interested in maybe actually doing one. But that's been kind of fun. Like I said, last year I kind of showed some of them. That went over well. Other than that, that's pretty much all I've done with it. So. Okay.
What book did you get from Esri?
What is it called? It's a little over my head. I think that's no, it's called,
that's the title.
imagery and GIS. So I have to kind of explore it a little bit more to understand it. So
they have such incredible books, but yeah, I know I sit down and I read them and I'm like, wait, what? So awesome. All right, Michelle, you also wrote lots of things and had a really good question. And so I did pop up the two books that you shared, and I'll drop those links on the agenda. I just didn't get that far, I think. And so there are a couple of open GIS books that you found. Do you want to touch on those? You are muted. All right, try again.
There's two places to unmute, Kelsey. It is tricky, isn't it? So I was looking, I don't even know. It was somebody that I follow on Twitter and suggested, and so I ended up over here. Incidentally, my grades aren't caught up, but I got this. I think this is helpful for me to supplement. I have primarily freshmen and sophomores that I will be teaching world geography to and with starting in January. So I too I'm just finishing up my last few weeks of this semester with some of my classes. So, and then I'll get like all new kids in all new schools come January. So I am looking for some pieces of text that I'm not a really big fan of the textbook, but I also think given my blended delivery format, it gives us kind of a base to stand on at times. So I can see us, implementing parts of this. One of them is from 2011. The other one is published in 2014. So I would feel a little more comfortable, especially with the nature of how quickly this technology is evolving. I wouldn't want something too old. So I think 2011 might feel like we were still spinning a globe. So those were my two sources. I'm just trying to figure out, because we do, ours is a little bit, ours with human geography. And so trying to figure out where this is layered into my curriculum. If it is, a lot of geography classes start with a strong unit on the basics, and then you implement those deeper and deeper as you do a study of a region or the world. And so I don't know, I don't want it to be my introductory unit and then just leave it and walk away. But I want a really deliberate way to implement that in each unit throughout this semester. And I just haven't been smart enough in my thinking to figure out how I want that to look. And then my other one is the bane of my existence, that we no longer are required to teach high school geography to graduate from high school. So perhaps, Julie and Dan, your work is all for naught.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, what we like about our GIS is that it is cross-curricular, and so you can implement it across. So maybe it'll supplement the fact that we no longer have to teach geography. And I'm wondering, we've got a couple of resources that we were going to share today, Michelle, that might help as you are embedding resources across. That might be useful. I don't know. We'll see. So hopefully we can give you some resources to help you. Okay.
Okay. And then I just wanted to show some of the books that I've got from. I think I got this at your training a couple of years ago. The thing is, you can't feel how beautiful it is. It feels beautiful too. It's one of the books.
Let's unshare and bring you, because people.
Am I tiny?
You're tiny. Yes.
I'm so insignificant.
Okay, we'll see if we can get you. All right. So there you go. Go off your book. And if you guys switch to speaker view, if you click on speaker view, you should be able to see.
So here's one of the books. And so they have all of these. These are some of the probably not above your head books. And I think I got some of these. I might have got this one from you. These might have actually come from Charlie and Tom when I was in Boston last year. This is a map of the world that kids built the maps, and so I like this especially for younger ages. And it just gives you, I feel like I should be reading a book to you. It gives you some nice ideas for maybe what some younger kiddos could do.
That's awesome. I will add that title to our resources too, so that under the sharing section, so that everybody can go in and you can make a mass request on that book. Which would be super fun. All right, I'm going back to sharing my screen. All right, Trent, it's you. Seriously, Trent, when we were reading through this, we thought you were writing 80s songs. And so you're still looking for someone. Don't you want to break into song, Dan?
Yeah, I've had about 3 different conversations with people, and it's mostly they're thinking they're schools that are making their STEAM squared plans for the later this year or even next year. And so that's where I'm hoping I'll get some real interest in them. And so I'll just keep having my conversations, and hopefully I'll have somebody that's committed by January, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, I think that sounds good. And the offer stands too. And I know Andrew at South had done some stuff previously, so I don't know if he would be interested in jumping in again.
And obviously, if he needed any help, I'd be more than happy to assist in it. And so he's in the back of my mind if nothing else comes to fruition, see if we can collaborate on something. But I'm still have hope that I can get it at one of the other middle schools.
Okay. Well, no, I think that would, and let me look. There was somebody who took this from us the first year, and he was from East, I think, or maybe it was the second year. But let me look and see if I can get you another name too. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, Darren.
Can I go for just 1 second? Trent, yeah. I have some ideas for you too for middle school teachers.
Sweet.
Oh, good. All right, Darren. You haven't done anything, you say. Did you disappear on me?
I haven't done anything since. We're doing, the STEM class I'm teaching is in trimesters. We just switched to our second trimester last month. So I won't get to it until probably towards the end of the second trimester. So it'll be, probably January before I get into it again.
Okay, well, we'll touch base back again on the 15th of January. So
cool.
Got stuff to share. We'll All right, Adam, you haven't found time. Do you need anything, Adam? More time?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I'm hoping that I can kind of follow along in Trent's footsteps with getting one of the STEAM Squared schools to do that, especially one of the schools that has student interest groups. I think that would be really fun for them.
Yeah.
But no takers yet.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm hopeful. They're doing a showcase day at the end of the week, and they're going to start presenting their next round of SIGs the week after. So maybe I can get somebody to bite.
Oh, fun! That actually sounds really. I'm hopeful for you. And if you need something, let us know.
Yes.
Right. Chris, you've got big plans.
Hey, there I am.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey. So I'm very excited talking to my middle school instructional coaches on Friday, right away in the morning. So, and not to reinvent the wheel, I'm gonna I'm gonna regurgitate a lot of the stuff that you showed me because it was vetted and it worked pretty well in our setting. So, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So, and showing showing the instructional coaches, because then they can go back and say, they've got a lot of street cred with the teachers, and if they say, this is something that you need to do or something to look into, or this is going to help supplement this curriculum, then the teacher's going to buy into it a lot more too.
Good.
So
I'm excited for you, and I think having those resources all in that one spot to be able to share with them will be good too. So
right on. No, so no, I which I wanted to give a testament to you and Dan for putting together all the resources already, and and cultivating that, and just so it's something that why do I want to come up with something of my own? That here's a great resource of what I experienced, and I think if I show them, I've got a visitor here.
Oh, hi.
Can you see him there? Yeah, I'm sorry. So he's been excited to see Dad all day. So if I can get in there and show them, hey, this is what I'm excited about, and with all the cross-curricular things that it does touch on, I'm seeing all of the middle school instructional coaches that touch every discipline. So that's going to be, a good way to distribute that for me anyway. So we'll see how it goes.
Good. Oh, okay. Let us know how it goes.
Awesome, Chris.
Send
Thanks.
us a note, and I'm excited to hear about that too. And then Tanner did have a couple questions.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to have to follow up with him. After, because he had some login questions. But we are excited that he is continuing to. He's introducing the story maps and the idea of the competition. So, and he's the 5th grade teacher, right? Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's the one that you guys in Rapid are the reason we moved the the contest back to 4th and 5th grade. So go you guys. All right. So Dan and I sat down and looked at some of the new things and some of the resources that are out there to share with you guys today. And so Esri sends out a magazine, and I'm not even sure how you get on the list. You probably are getting it. It's a massive magazine that they publish really regularly, and it's got great content, and I don't get it read nearly as much as I should. But we sat down, and there's a few resources that we wanted to share with you. The first one is the Earth Systems Monitor. And it's actually, when this article was published, it was in beta, but now it's out there. And it uses the all of the resources on the Living Atlas, and you can go in and look at all of these different content areas. And so Dan's got us. Do you want to talk about what we're looking at, Dan?
We just zoomed into this report of armed conflicts around the globe, and you can just sort of get a sense of. I actually didn't even look at the key. You guys can see that map on Julie's screen?
I hope so.
Okay, thank you. We didn't get into all of the details, but we felt like this was sort of based on the popularity of the Living Atlas layer and our presentations. We felt like this Earth Systems Monitor was sort of the evolution of that system. And we really liked how it instantly brought these visual layers to maps. And I think if anyone was trying to do a project, they could actually just take any of these layers and integrate them in any way they wanted to in a story map, in any way that they felt was appropriate for their content or their topic area. And Julie, if you scroll across the top, like you can see, like we're talking about just ridiculous things here. World's largest cities, like basically an infographic. The size of the circle is relative to the size of the city. Sea surface temperature, global human footprint. So we're talking about environment, ecology. We're talking about sociology, social studies. We're talking about science. I got really excited about it. I convinced Julie that maybe we should share it for this particular presentation. Just as something that you guys might want to take a look at or share with your students to bastion or support your content in your classrooms.
And what's nice about this one is you can, if you notice at the very bottom of the screen, you can create a map. And so it'll actually create a map with that layer on it. And so you can go in and have an editable layer. And this is an interactive app. And so I am not logged in, I don't think, on this right now. And so that's the other, yeah, I'm not logged in. And so this is one of those things that you can do without
Can
being
you click a
logged in.
circle?
Yep. Hypothetically, I can click a circle. My internet is really slow. Yep, so when I click a circle, we get details.
I wonder if the circle is the amount of yeah, I bet it is the amount of fatalities, the size of the circle.
It moves around. So much information. So yeah, this is, so what's nice about this is you have the app and so that you don't have to mess with it, but you also can create a map if you want. And it'll open up in ArcGIS Online and you have a map that you could edit. Maybe. We're not going to model that today. But
Yeah,
so,
it popped. Oh,
yeah,
you closed it.
I closed it. It popped because I
It
closed
just
it.
needed one more second, Julie.
I know. Next time. So anyways, Michelle, do you think this could be something that would be beneficial to keep integrating as you move across your content area?
Yeah, yes. So I'm just looking, obviously I was kind of paying attention and I'm playing with it at the same time.
As we do, yes. Play along, you guys. This is what it's for.
There's an active fires and hotspots.
Yeah.
A lot of my geography class, I'm basically teaching them about conservation. It's my hidden agenda that's not very hidden. But we talk a lot about deforestation. And so each day they average 14,766 fires around the world. And it has, so I have the map pulled up and it's quite beautiful and alarming. And so to just use this as a question generator on what's happening in the world and maybe make some associations with deforestation, for instance, if we're looking at South America or perhaps parts of Africa or India. And then apparently where we live is on fire too. So anyways, I like that one a lot and I can see myself using that right away. And that's just with a preliminary look.
Good.
Cool.
Well, and like I said, I liked that it is interactive. You don't have to log in. You have these layers with all this information easily accessible. So that was an exciting find. So Dan found that, and he didn't really have to convince me to use it. So that was good. The next one we wanted to touch on was the OpenStreetMap vector-based map. And so, as you guys know, when we're in ArcGIS, and I am logged in here, but you do see it whether you're logged in or not. We can do the OpenStreetMap, and it's now vector-based. So what does that mean, Dan?
So if you guys like infographics and stuff like that, if you're ever resizing an image on a document or a file, you want a vector graphics file, and I think a PNG is an example of a vector graphics file. It doesn't actually distort when you resize it. So you could actually fill a full sheet of paper with a giant amount of material, which sort of forms the basis of like an infographic or that sort of thing. I liked it on this one because when you zoom into a map in some of those other base maps, if you zoom in too far, it suddenly gets distorted and it's a little bit, I don't know, visually displeasing. This is a vector-based map, and so it shouldn't actually distort. You should be able to go to the smallest point without making it seem, how do I say, blurring it or that it should always readjust to your zoom. Can you guys see that on Julie's screen?
They're doing such a good job of following along and nodding. You guys go. All right. But so this was just one of the new things that they talked about. And then the last one is the Wayback Imagery. And you know what? I didn't open up those windows. Sorry, guys. So the Wayback Imagery was, I think, probably our favorite one, Dan. And this actually was a little clunkier to find. And so I gave you the links. It comes up as a collection in a group. But the Wayback Imagery app was the easiest way to pull that up, because then you could change layers really easily and change content. And so if we look at a little bit about the Wayback Imagery, it's there's 80 different versions over the last 5 years. And so when Dan and I were playing with it, we went to where we spend most of our time, right, Dan?
Yeah.
So we went to work.
You guys can see the map.
And then I had to zoom out a little bit, but there's been quite a bit of development in the area around our office in the last 5 years. And so we were really kind of curious what had changed, because we were talking about, oh, you could look and see how your city boundaries have changed, or, that type of thing. So right now we are looking at, I think, the most recent one. And so I'm going to scroll on down and look at the oldest one. And you can see that by our office, this is an empty field. And now there's actually a couple businesses over there now. So it was just kind of fun to see that change. Yep, there's a couple buildings.
And one of the lessons in ArcGIS allowed you to integrate different base layers based on time, based on satellite imagery. And so this resource here would be fantastic, at least to capture local growth or the expansion of local towns over the last 5 years. It's absolutely fascinating if you think about the data that's being portrayed here. And I don't think that was necessarily we had it available in some regions, but I didn't think it was a worldwide thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea that we have digital maps of the planet over the last 5 years of satellite imagery is actually a pretty awesome, I think, a pretty powerful component.
And so then when we're in the map, you have the ability to add this update to an online map, and then you can also learn more about the update too. So each layer, each update, you have options. So this was just a fun one. And then finally, Dan found, I think, the coolest thing ever. Is it the coolest thing ever?
Yeah, it's my favorite. This is the highlight of today's webinar, you guys. Just in case you were wondering.
He goes, you're going to have to add this to the training for next time we do it. So we're going to do relationship mapping. And it's pretty cool. So when you're down on the resources, there's actually a really nice tutorial on how to map relationships. And they do one of our favorites, a story map. And it talks about relationship maps. So do you want to run through it, Dan?
So if you guys are familiar with like how do I call it I think it's statistically known as a correlation coefficient. What we're looking for is the overlap of two separate variables. So this map is a little bit interesting. So what we're looking at is the we're looking at the prevalence of diabetes in the United States, and that's by county. Can you guys see the map of diabetes in America? So we have these dark pink sections, and this is for the highest concentration of diabetes. So we scroll on down, and we have another map that's actually portraying the relative concentration of obesity. And so you can see by both of those maps that they're both conveying something. And in your mind, you might potentially be ascertaining some level of comorbidity here, or some, overlap, or like I was referring to before, some correlation. And so they did ArcGIS, these guys don't play around. So now we scroll down and we have a map that actually includes a visual display of correlation coefficients. So this is a marriage of both of those maps. And we can see, if you guys can see the key, we see that the dark spots are the high percent of diabetes and the high percent of obesity. And we see that it runs the gamut across the map. So it's actually a little bit more insightful. I don't know why Denver has omitted their data, but I think it ends up being a hugely powerful thing. And Julie and I had a lot of fun playing around with it. And we can show.
We can show them our map.
We have it up.
We have a map. Yes.
And so we were just looking at what did we commit to?
Oh, who knows? So basically, we added a layer. It's a standard layer out there. It's the County Health Rankings 2018, and it has so much content in it that you could.
It's just a ton of information.
Ton of information. And so right now we are looking at child deaths and graduation rate.
And we were just looking to see how we could change the display of the map and what it might look like and what we might learn from it. But there's a ton of different things that you could compare side by side. And I felt like that's really a powerful thing. So a visual representation of a correlation coefficient. And that's kind of a neat thing. So we just did child deaths and graduation rates, thinking to myself that in areas where children were not graduating from high school, we could extrapolate or potentially ascertain some understanding of child mortality rates or child death rates. Anyway, I don't necessarily know if that was what we saw, but if you look at the chart itself, what we're looking at, the color that we're focused on, in my opinion, was the dark spots, not the orange or the light or the blue, but the dark colored ones. Right there we see instances of high death rates and very low graduation rates.
And what's cool about this is we just changed our style. So same thing as we ever did when we were modeling. You change your style, and
it's just a relationship.
You picked out your attribution, and then we did the relationship. And so at that point, the options here are kind of crazy, but default was fine. I mean, we futzed around with it a little bit, just to see what it would change, but defaults were fine. You can change your labels, which is really nice, and so you have that capability. What else did we do with it?
You can actually change how each of those things are numerically defined if you were wanting to ascertain some specific reference to a data point or something like that. You can set the percentage. You can define each of the color breaks and how it determines the color breakdown.
Yes. So it was very simple to do. It was just a matter of knowing that this option was available. And
having the right layer that would
and having a layer with comparable data, and so like this layer was great. When we do the when you do the Dust Bowl of those population layers, those would be good. Any layer with lots of attributes is a really good layer to do this with. And so when you look at this, and so we look at South Dakota. Did we look at South Dakota yesterday?
I don't know. I feel like we're missing some county data.
Yeah, it feels like it. But anyways, and we futzed around with a couple of other data points too, just to see how it changed and what the correlation was. But so this is a really great way to compare. And what's nice is Esri does a really good job of giving you how to do the map too. And so they actually have a story map here that guides you through everything you would ever need to know and then some, and explains it. And so we thought it was a good one to share with you guys. And so that's on the link of the resources with the relationship mapping tutorial. So you guys have access to that. And then I think there's just one more thing, Dan. And
yeah, last thing.
All right. So the very last thing was, there was a really good article in one of the magazines from ArcGIS about how to make your story map successful. And so because we're all thinking about the map contest all the time, at least I think you are, it was just, it's 6 steps, and it really guides you through kind of the process for doing a story map. So that connect with your audience, who are your readers, thinking about who's going to be looking at it, luring the people in. They talk about a cover image. And the example they give on the article is a volcano, and it's actually a video that they use. And so that's kind of cool. choose the best user experience. And this, I when we did the training, you guys remember we talked about, I had you guys go to the story maps gallery and look at the different kinds of story maps and kind of get familiar with the different formats. They really talk about here, like if you have more text, the story map journal is better. If you have lots of pictures, the story map tour is better. And so, you know, just kind of thinking as what kind of format. And so when you're working with your kids, helping them make those decisions. And then making easy to read maps. They talk about creating your web maps in ArcGIS Online first and then referencing them. And so that makes it a lot easier to do that way. And so you can add your data using, and so like last time I gave you guys the option to upload the Google CSV. So you have different options there. Striving for simplicity. And so they gave some examples of that. And then finally reaching your audience. And they talk about how to share it out with your audience. But so it was a really simple article, and for those of us that are really thinking about doing the map contest, it really breaks it down very succinctly. So we wanted to share that with you because I really do think about the map contest probably way too much. Stop nodding, Dan. All right. Can the attributes be from different layers? You can merge those layers, Darren. That's an excellent question. Remember when we did that, you guys did that one crazy wind tunnel or wind power activity? And you merged all those layers? That would be how you would get your attributes on the same layer. Okay? So that's a great question. And that was, so yeah, you could just think of the fun you could do. So that would be another good activity to do the relationship mapping with, I bet, is that wind power one. All right, any other questions? All right, well, I will post the webinar, and I will also follow up with a couple of the books and the resources that were shared so that everybody can check those out. And if you need anything, obviously shoot us an email. And the next webinar isn't until January 15th. So you guys have Christmas break and a little bit of time to implement stuff and generate more questions. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.